Hey guys, this is Anon, and I am finally getting around to making a video here on the Cromwell B. I know it's been out for a little bit now, but I wanted to kind of get my 100 battles in it, and finally getting around to it, and I have to say I absolutely love this tank. I've always been a big fan of the Cromwell to begin with, but this one with basically having even more advantages is just kind of crazy. I'm sure that most people that already have it can probably agree to the near OP-ness of it, but I wanted to go ahead and show kind of just what it's capable of here in a couple gameplays, so we're just going to go for it. So I'm here on Lost Temple, and I'm lucky enough to be top tier, which is fantastic, so I go ahead and run all the way up to the temple area, really for the most part because this thing has just such great peek-a-boom abilities that I'm hoping to be able to just pin all of these heavies down and then kind of let my team farm in here. So I know it's got paper-thin armor, it's definitely the biggest weakness of it, but as long as you're keeping a good eye on the guns that are pointed at you and being careful about how you kind of approach stuff, you can still really rule these obvious situations. So even got a lucky bounce in there, which is pretty fantastic, and pretty much exactly what I thought was going to happen is happening. Most of the red team is up here, so I'm just being careful and rolling out when I'm fairly confident I'm not going to take a shot, taking it and rolling right back again. It's pretty much just clinic peek-a-boom here at the beginning. Really this gameplay is all about later in it and showing kind of what this is capable of in the late game kind of possibilities. So other nice thing about it, you always want to be uphill when you can in this tank. So the 13 degrees of gun depression are simply amazing. So even though it's got no armor, you can really minimize your kind of target cross-section just by being uphill and not giving them a lot to work with. So I'm having a little bit of a hard time pinning the turret of that KV-1, so that's why I go ahead and rotate back. Anytime I get kind of bogged down on a tank, I want to kind of adjust a little bit because the worst thing you can do is have your gun out of the battle. So I'm just keeping an eye on that KV-1S because I don't want to roll back and have him be able to shoot me in the back. If he was smart enough to put an HE round into me, that would be pretty devastating. So the KV-1 then decides to push up a little bit, and I'm hoping he comes up a little farther so I can start getting shots into his track. So I'm hoping to just kind of frustrate him a little bit, and that's what he does, so I can go ahead and start shooting at that drive wheel. The gun depression on the KVs are super terrible, so there's no way he can do anything unless he heals his tracks. So I can go ahead and get rid of a dangerous tank here. And now I'm pretty concerned because they're starting to push around to my left side. Luckily that E2 doesn't have the prototype turret on it, so I can pen through his cheeks pretty easily when you sit still. This is also a good kind of lesson for the Jumbo. If he was moving around, it would be very difficult to hit, but since he's sitting still, it lets me have a few opportunities to kind of work my way in there and get some nice shots. But mostly I have to even take a couple shots from this E2 because of the tanks behind me, and you can see there I roll back a little bit too far and take those shots. So I have a really tight window here that I can kind of work in, and it's essentially now a 1 versus 4 because my only other teammate is AFK over at spawn 2, which I just realized I had just been looking at dots. So I basically just have to try and book it out of here. So this is my safest line, just trying to dodge the M4. Luckily he takes a whiff shot, and so now I at least have it down to a 1 versus 2. I hung out as long as I could there. I got a little bit lucky getting out. But now is when you can really let a tank like this shine with the absolutely freakish mobility and that great gun depression. So basically what I'm doing here is I just want to reset this map. I'm running away. The team is helping to let me know. The good news about him being AFK on this side is that if those tanks start to chase me, there's a good chance that he will be able to spot them if they roll out. But instead they go ahead and hit cap, so I know exactly where they are. So instantly on a map like this I know exactly what I want to do. I'm hoping to now circle all the way back around and get back on the temple because that's very defensive. But first I'm gonna peek up here and just see if I can sneak a shot, because sometimes they'll roll forward enough, and since I have really great gun depression, I'm gonna be a pretty tight target. So I'm hoping maybe I can sneak a couple shots in and then continue the relocation. I've walked out as far as I'm comfortable with here, so if I get spotted I have to instantly bug out, which the KV-2 does. So now I'm going to go ahead and adjust kind of to my original plan, but I'm sitting a little bit to try and get the camo to reset first before I kind of do that. Sometimes they start to chase, so that's why I go ahead and give it one more look, but I know that the goal is going to be to swing around that full health KV2. It's still a little bit challenging because, you know, even a shot that goes under me or somewhere really close, it's going to be pretty damaging. And I don't remember for sure how much health that KV1S has left, because the teammate was working on him more than anything. So no matter what, at this point, they're not 100% sure of which direction I'm going to come in, and that's the main goal. And to set yourself up in a pretty defensible spot. So I just love the Cromwell for this. Any tank that you can relocate this quickly and gives you an instant advantage. I don't really care about the armor because you can minimize that and deal with it as much as possible. So when I pop up, I can see which way they're looking and dodge that quick KV2 shell. I'm going to be an extremely hard target at that speed. So now it's a 1 versus 1 situation, a much better place to be. Basically, just kind of feeling out his aim time. If he stops to really aim on me hard, that like he just did, that lets me know that he's either loaded or very, very close to loaded. So I just kind of want to pop in and out and hopefully bait a shot, because if I can bait a shot from him, it's going to be, and it doesn't hit me, it should give me a lot of advantage to kind of run in closer. So I'm just going to work him really carefully here. I still know if I don't give him much target to hit at all, it's going to be really, really difficult. And on the move, I mean, it'll be pure luck RNG if he hits me. So playing it as best I can. I'm really just trying to bait him around. I've got 45 seconds, so I'm not in a huge hurry with it. Plenty of APCR loaded. I'm really just trying to get him to move where I want him to move, and that's to rotate around and start to get antsy. Like I said, if he can fire a shot, then it's going to put me in a much better spot. So the one mistake here, I don't like losing a spot anytime. If I had known he was coming up like that, I could have rushed a little harder and probably got into his tracks and pinned him just like I did the KV1 earlier. But either way, him coming up this far, it gives me a lot more kind of capabilities to shoot him. And finally get what I wanted. He does that nice track shot. The speed of the Cromwell almost gets me in trouble there, but I've got so much time. I can finally finish it off. So a little bit of a tense situation, but again, showing just the beauty of the speed of a tank like this to really let yourself kind of relocate and work your way in. And it just, the gun on it really will build damage quickly. I mean, for a tier 6, that's just absolutely monster damage. So I'm going to pretty much take that anytime I can. Okay, so we're going to switch to a different setup now, where I'm actually bottom tier. This tank really has some solid pen on the APCR, so I don't find that it really struggles too much at tier 6, or a tier 7, I mean, because being pretty much a light, I know it's classified as a medium, but in all honesty, it's a light. Play it like a light. You can still keep your tank from being shot fairly easily with just that fantastic mobility. So here on Vineyards, I'm going to go ahead and pop up to these spotting kind of bushes. When you have a lot of heavies, some people like to pop up a little bit to the left of these buildings into the bushes and try and spot the stuff that's coming into town. I just happen to prefer this one because the hill gives me a little bit more room to work. And so I'm just looking for any spots I can. Again, not really in a hurry this early in the game. Being bottom tier, I'll take spots when it's when I'm comfortable with it, but I'm not going to roll out and take shots unnecessarily. So it's pretty clear at this point that they've gone into town, so that's why I start to rotate around. I pretty much always destroy that barrel because I feel like it's in my way. It makes it a little bit hard to aim if something's on the other side of it and blocks your view, so I always kind of kill that. It's just a little quirk here. And again, just being patient, because it's okay to let a team that goes into town be spotted first. I personally don't like to be in town because you're in a lower ground, and really all you can do is then side scrape, and there's enough corridors that a team will start to pick you off if they're patient. When you're in town, your goal is to make them come to you, and so if a team mentally is strong enough and can kind of wait you out and wait for these guys that roll out on their own and get a little anxious, then you can usually kind of win these engagements. So that's why I like to stay out a little bit farther, give yourself some more room to roam. So as they start to get impatient and roll out, I'm just looking for any kind of nice shots I can get early on. You can see what happens when you get a little bit impatient there. The SU is a pretty obvious target. Anytime something starts to aim at you like that, even though my light bulb hasn't gone off, I assume I'm spotted, and you absolutely don't want to take that shot this early in the game. So trying to get another couple quick shots in there, but can't really do it. That VK bean shot is a good indicator that they've got view range on us from that hill. So I'm just rotating around a little bit, trying to relocate and get another shot. I'm hoping to kind of be able to hit that SU 100 again, but instead these other tanks pop up just by kind of changing my angle, and I'm able to let my team really start to wreck in there. Going to go ahead and take the APCR shots on the T-29 if I can, but again, just kind of being aware that SU could be there. And like I said, anytime a gun starts to point at you, whether you're targeted or you're spotted or not, I always treat it as that, because sometimes it's hard to keep track fully how long ago it's been since your camera reset. So working around these ridges, but I'm always staying on the backside of hills, so you can see with that great gun depression, I always want to give myself the flexibility to be able to back up and use that gun depression to kind of stay safe. When the Comet peeks out, I go ahead and start pushing a little bit, because I'm hoping there's some guns looking in here, but I also have found this little ridgeline that I'm dumping into gives you a lot of possibilities to spot by proxy and also stay fairly safe if your team is behind you sniping in. Like you can see some of the big damage they're doing. Tanks with poor gun depression have a really hard time getting down here to shoot me, and so it's turned into a really good spot to kind of assist your team, because I can really kind of pop them as they stick their head out, while also providing those really important spots. Instantly going for the tracks on that Comet, because I want my team to be able to finish them. And this is going to be a good game just basically because of assistance work here, because I'm keeping that whole team lit up and challenging them, so to speak, to come out and get me, and that allows your team to really work. So now that we're down to 3, I go ahead and decide to rush the T-29. Maybe not necessarily the best situation here, because the other 2 are right there behind me and they wanted me dead, but I'm just trying to keep myself in this little kind of divot and protect it as much as I can. The Cromwell, just like pretty much any other tank, well, especially light tank, is really just about controlling your engagements. So knowing that I was be able to kind of nestle in there without taking too much damage. Obviously took a little bit of shots, so like I said, it maybe wasn't the perfect decision kind of in that place. I could have played it a little bit safer, but just trying to go ahead and kind of finish this game off at the same time. So here with him looking at me, just like I said before, I'm keeping an eye on his gun, but just making sure he stays spotted and possibly gets a little bit distracted. So I'm going to go in and go ahead and take some of the nice shots there, not wasting my APCR at this point in the game, because it's clearly won, and go ahead and kind of soak up some of those fabulous credits that this tank produces. So again, just a little bit different role in this game because of being the bottom tier, doing a lot more spotting and assistance than necessarily big damage, although still really good damage for a tier 6. You can just use this tank in so many different roles that it makes it really nice. You can see there's 61,000 credits even with shooting some APCR. Unfortunately, I didn't click on this to see the assistance damage. I'm not really sure why. And one more game here just to kind of give you that nice overall feel, which I like to do, especially on these new tanks. We've got a few more days where this is available, and I can't imagine this is one that's going to come up a whole lot, because it is so good. Usually the tanks that are this kind of perfect as far as premiums don't come up very often, so don't have any insider news on that, just kind of a gut feeling. Everyone kind of wished before this tank they had a victory, and it wasn't available very often, and I think in most ways I actually prefer the Cromwell B. It's more fun to drive, the credits are really similar. I know there's a playstyle difference to take into account, but for me this is the kind of my replacement for it. After 100 games, I think I was around like 87% win rate, so it goes to show how overpowered this tank can be as long as you're kind of using it the right way. So early on I'm just sitting in my bush and taking any shots that they give me, because there's just not a lot of reason to kind of overexpose, and mostly also because not everyone's been spotted yet, so I'm kind of trying to keep an eye on everything to the left and also see if anything starts to poke its head out. I can see that Cromwell B starting to work his way in, and so if he sticks his head out completely, there's a good chance he'll be able to spot me, so it's something I'm just kind of staying aware of. But again, just kind of waiting for them to make a mistake. and work on shots, especially with that VKM, who has a pretty solid gun there and that can do some damage. So working my way up now, just kind of looking for some new shots. That KV-1S I know is out there pretty far, so I'm trying to kind of sneak a couple in him. Unfortunately, just getting some, I thought it was some bad RNG, but I'm just actually shooting an invisible tank, which is kind of always entertaining when that happens. But now this Cromwell is starting to has realized I'm here and is doing a little bit of damage, so I'm going to start to swing around just enough to get myself hidden. I don't want to attack the Cromwell yet because he's full health, so instead I'm just kind of nestling my tank in and working on the threats that are right there in front of me. Shot selection being pretty important there. There's obvious damage right in front to be done, so there's no reason to take on a heavily armor or a heavy health tank solo until I can kind of free up some of my teammates. So if they don't move soon, I'll have to start working. But just kind of choosing, like I said, my engagements, and especially the one-on-one engagements. I'm not afraid to do it in the Cromwell, especially in a heavy or against a heavy, because it circles so well. But against another light or a medium, you know you're going to take damage once you fully commit to it, so you just have to be careful about it. I choose to roll out there because he was focused on another tank, and so I was hoping to get some quick damage and be up on him a little bit heavier, but unfortunately didn't get that shot to go through. But now I've got him down to a 2-shot, which is much closer to where I want these engagements to happen. I don't want to fully charge unless I know I can take him. And I don't normally chase a tank that's trying to run away like this, but he's just too dangerous to let go, so I go ahead and make sure he's gone. I know we had a several tank advantage at that point, but a good Cromwell driver that gets away can do a lot of damage, just like you saw in that first gameplay that I showed from this tank. Once you escape and can control where you're attacking from, it's extremely dangerous. So now it lets you circle right back around, super fast. It's amazing how quick you can, disengage and re-engage. It's just a fantastic tank. It's so much fun. Shooting the low health to begin with, because I can keep an eye on the Sioux if he starts to turn on me like I thought he was kind of trying to do. That's why I go ahead and turn on him. But it really is just a lot of fun. I talk about lights and fast tanks a lot, so anytime you can harass the team and keep as much health, it's going to be pretty dangerous. So hopefully you enjoy this and you enjoy the Berlin. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and follow along on Twitch. Had a pretty good run in the Berlin, working towards my 100 games yesterday, and so lots of gameplay out there.